Hey everyone, welcome to this walkthrough of DataGOal. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you three things: how to bring in and pipeline your data through the lakehouse, how to work with that data inside of workspaces, and how to put AI to work all on top of it. So let's jump in. First stop is the lakehouse. This is where all of your data connections live. So I'll click on New Data Source, I'll pick my data source, and then I'll drop in all of my credentials. Once I save it, DataGoal takes care of the connection. Once it's connected, I can jump into the data sources page and see everything that DataGoal has pulled in. Every table I can click into and I can see every column inside of it. It's basically an x-ray of your source data before you build anything on top of it. Now what we're going to do is move that data somewhere useful with a pipeline. I'll hit to pipelines and click on create a new one. Standard pipeline moves data straight from the source into your warehouse. So you've got three load types. Here we have full refresh overwrite, which replaces everything on each run. Then we have full refresh append, which keeps history and adds a fresh copy at the same time. And then we have incremental append, which only pulls in what's new. I'll use incremental append for this one. If you need more control, a custom pipeline lets you join multiple sources together and apply transformations along the way so that the data lands exactly how you need it. And if you're dealing with duplicate records, like under an incremental append pipeline, there's a dedicated dedupe pipeline that cleans that up automatically. Once I've selected my pipeline configuration, I can then scroll down to the destination. Here, I can choose the warehouse that I would like to deposit my data into, or I can create a new warehouse. The formats that we support here are Parquet and Iceberg formats. Once my destination is configured, I can set up the pipeline name, query engine, as well as replication method. So here we have manual, which means I'll run my pipeline manually every time I want to fetch new data, or I can set this pipeline on a cron job or a scheduled run. Once I save this pipeline, I'll be able to see all of my pipelines that I've created here on the pipelines page. The last piece of the lakehouse is going to be the playground. Here I can write all of my SQL queries against my data and run it to see the results instantly. Once I'm happy with my query, I can turn it straight into a pipeline with just a few clicks. I'll click on Publish in the top right, select the workspace that I want to deposit my data into, and then give my workbook a name. I'll leave my data provider as Spark, and then I'll create a pipeline to copy that data. Now let's go see where that data actually landed. I'll open up my workspaces, select the workspace that I just deposited into, and there it is. This is the data from the pipeline that we just built. From here, I can filter, I can sort, I can group the data just like a spreadsheet. If I come into settings, then I have this view lineage view, and it's one of my favorite features. It shows exactly where every piece of data came from and everywhere that it's been used. I can also copy this table as a CURL or as an MCP endpoint if I want to plug this into another tool. And if the workbook is getting a little bit heavy, I can switch the storage type from Spark to a database. Here's something powerful too. If I scroll to the right, I can add a new column, and then I can select AI Generate. With this, I can create a column that uses AI to enrich my data, and it can even reference other columns in the same row. There's also an AI tab right inside the workbook, so I can point an AI agent directly at this data and ask it any question. Now let's turn this data into something visual. I can come to the visualizer, which will allow me to build charts in just a couple of clicks. I'll start by selecting my data source, which will be one of our workbooks. I'll choose the columns that I would like to visualize and then click Generate. Then the system will generate a visualization for me based on what it finds best fit. Now I can pin this widget directly to my dashboard by clicking this Save button and then clicking Pin to Dashboard. Now I can create a new dashboard page and directly pin that visualization. If I go into the dashboard here, we have a few options. First, we have the Explore mode. This will allow me to add any filters or drill down into the data in any way that I would like. If I right click, we have a few options here, one of them being Drill Down. Here I can drill down on another column to create a deeper view of the data that I'm trying to look at. We also have the option to show the raw underlying data powering this widget, as well as show the data for this particular point that I'm hovering over. I can also directly embed this dashboard into my own product if I wanted to. The last part of workspaces is going to be the documents. Here, I can upload a file and index them so they're AI ready. Once I've uploaded my document, I can click on this button here and start syncing all of my documents to make them AI ready. I also have an option here to run AI extraction on these documents using RAG. I can pull this unstructured data into a structured table in just a few minutes. Now let's talk about AI. Dave is your built-in analyst. You can ask it any question about your data and it can run SQL, build visualizations, and summarize what it finds, all in plain English. So let's try it out on our sales transaction data. I'll ask, how much revenue do we have sitting in unpaid invoices right now, broken out by aging bucket, and which territory has the most money at risk? And just like that, Dave ran the query, built the chart, and gave me a summary. I can expand any one of these SQL queries to view what it was that Dave wrote. I can also open these queries in the playground. Throughout Dave's response, I can see that he has provided me with some charts, which if I find useful, I can also pin directly to my dashboards. He's also given some reasoning, giving us an explanation of what it is we're visualizing and an answer to the question that we asked. Now, if you want your own custom agent, AgentX makes that very easy for you. So let's build a collections agent on top of this same sales data. I'll describe it. I built it to create an agent that reviews our unpaid invoices, prioritizes accounts that are over 90 days past due by the total amount owed, and drafts a short professional follow-up email to the customer for the assigned sales rep to send. AgentX is going to ask us a few questions as we go through the agent configuration just to make sure that it's aligned on the same goal and what agent we want to build. Once AgentX understands what we want, it'll show us the configuration that it's created, including the system prompt, the MCPs that it's added, as well as the model that it's using. Once I'm satisfied, all I have to do is say build it, and the agent will now be saved. Now we can start chatting with this agent right away, no configuration. All I did was explain what I wanted to AgentX. Now, if I want to customize my AI experience a little bit more, I can also come to this customize page here. Here, we can define any skill files that we would like to include or connect any MCPs. We do have a lot of out-of-the-box connectors like Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, Slack, and all of these can be connected right away to your agents. We also have different knowledge sources, including Google Drive, SharePoint, OneDrive. All of these different systems can be connected to your agents. The documents within them can be indexed and ready to retrieve. We can also define different memories for the agents to use across the platform. These can be done at a user level, an agent level, or at a company level. We also have ontology, which allows us to explain our business and all of its entities as well as its relationships for the agent to be able to understand. And that's the entirety of DataGOal. From raw data in the lakehouse to working with it in workspaces and creating dashboards to putting AI on top of all of that. Thanks for watching, and if you want to learn more, visit datagoal.ai and follow us on LinkedIn.